They look sleek, they sound premium, and the ads make them seem like the best Europe has to offer. But don't be fooled, these cars are quietly draining wallets, failing emissions tests, and even putting lives at risk. If you're thinking about buying a European car in 2025, watch this first. 1. Peugeot 308. At number 1, we have the Peugeot 308. On the surface, it looks futuristic and stylish with its sleek body and high-tech iCockpit, but under that shiny design lies a series of serious problems that have turned off European buyers in a big way. According to Consumer Reports' 2025 data, it ranks among the bottom 10% of all CUVs for reliability. Owners are visiting dealerships about 2.7 times on average just to try and fix recurring problems. One of the biggest issues was a March 2024 recall across the EU, faulty front suspension ball joint mounts. The bolts were poorly crimped, risking total steering failure. Even after the recall repairs, 18% of German owners still reported the same suspension noises just 6 months later. On top of that, diesel versions are plagued by AdBlue injection failures that cost around 4,200 euros to repair. That's no small bill, especially when the car itself costs around 37,000 euros. And it gets even worse. Most Peugeot 308s in Europe, about 63%, use a 1.2-liter PureTech petrol engine. These are now known for timing chain failures happening as early as 48,000 kilometers, sometimes requiring a full 3,800 euro engine rebuild. If that wasn't enough, the 2024 models also started showing subframe corrosion within the first year, triggering yet another EU recall. All this chaos has destroyed its resale value. In the UK, a 3-year-old 308 now only holds 41% of its original value, while something like a Toyota CHR keeps 58%. That tells you all you need to know. 2. Ford Fiesta. Next at number 2 is the Ford Fiesta. It used to be the king of small cars in Europe, but now it's mostly remembered for failure. The biggest disaster? The power shift automatic transmission. Consumer Reports found that 82% of Fiesta owners with this gearbox had major problems before hitting 80,000 kilometers. The average repair cost? 2,300 euros. What really made things worse was a 2025 investigation by the German KBA, which revealed that Ford knew about these issues for years, but delayed software fixes. This wasn't a small slip-up, it was a major blunder. As a result, Fiesta sales collapsed. Between 2020 and 2025, they dropped 62% in France and 54% in Italy. Meanwhile, buyers flocked to hybrid options like the Toyota Yaris. Ford made another huge mistake by waiting until 2025 to offer a hybrid version, 4 years after Renault's hybrid Clio was already winning hearts. And even now, hybrids make up only 15% of Fiesta production. Compare that to the Honda Jazz, where 89% are hybrids. It's clear Ford missed the boat. On top of all of that, owners in the UK are getting left stranded. About 23% of them had to wait more than 47 days to get their transmissions fixed under warranty because Ford didn't have the parts. All this has pushed the Fiesta off a cliff. It used to hold 7.2% of B-segment sales in the EU. Now it's at just 1.8%. Falling behind even discontinued models like the Opel Karl. 3. Skoda Octavia. Then at number 3 comes the Skoda Octavia. Once seen as a smart, budget-friendly family car, it's now struggling to keep that image alive. The Octavia is built with Volkswagen tech, but that hasn't saved it from serious issues. One of the biggest headaches is its 7-speed DSG automatic transmission. Drivers report sudden loss of drive and bizarre, depressed brake pedal messages popping up while cruising on the motorway. Repairs at official service centers can cost over 4,000 euros, although some independent garages fix the same problem for around 600 euros, showing just how inflated the costs can be at Skoda dealers. In 2024, a safety recall was issued for 3,810 Octavia and Superb models made between 2020 and 2024. The problem, heat shields were installed incorrectly near the brake fluid reservoir. That mistake could cause brake fluid to leak onto hot exhaust parts, which means potential fires and braking failure. Scary stuff for a supposed family car. Electronics haven't fared much better either. The MIB3 infotainment system tends to reboot itself or lose GPS signal, especially in colder areas. Skoda tried to fix it with a 2023 software update, but it didn't solve the real issue: cheap hardware and older models. All of this is now showing up in the sales figures. In 2025, Skoda's numbers dropped 4.7% in Germany and 3.3% in France. Warranty claims for transmission and electronic problems are up 22% compared to last year. It's becoming clear that owning an Octavia isn't about saving money, it's about being ready for unexpected repair bills. 4. Seat Leon. At number 4, we have the Seat Leon, a car that was once seen as the fun, sporty cousin in the Volkswagen family, but by 2025, it's quickly turning into a major disappointment across Europe. The big problem? The DQ200 dry clutch DSG transmission. This gearbox is shared with cheaper VW models, and it's not holding up well. In fact, 63% of Leon owners reported feeling clutch shudder during low-speed driving. It got so bad that Volkswagen had to issue a technical bulletin warning about uncontrolled torque oscillations in 1.5 TSI versions made between late 2023 and early 2024. But the problem doesn't stop there. In 2023, a global recall pulled back 300,000 seat vehicles, and nearly 209,000 of them were in Spain alone. The issue? Takata airbag inflators. They were so unstable that the chemical inside them could explode, sending metal shrapnel flying through the cabin. This horrifying defect was linked to 14 injuries in Europe. Even though newer Leons now use different airbags, the damage to public trust was already done. Another headache is the 1.6 TDI diesel version. It has a diesel particulate filter that clogs up too fast, needing regeneration every 450 to 500 kilometers in city driving. With all of these problems piling up, sales have taken a hit. Even though car sales in Spain grew by 8.4% overall, the Leon's registrations dropped by 11% in just the first 2 months of 2025. 5. Volvo V40. Now at number 5, we move on to the Volvo V40, a car once known for its groundbreaking safety features. Back in 2012, it made headlines for having a pedestrian airbag, the first of its kind. But over time, that strong reputation crumbled. In 2019 alone, the V40 was hit with 2 serious recalls. First, a massive one affecting over 500,000 diesel cars due to the plastic intake manifold that could melt and cause engine fires. Then earlier that same year, 30,000 units were recalled because of fuel line cracks. And the problems didn't end there. Between 2015 and 2017, some petrol versions of the V40 started overheating because air bubbles were getting trapped in the cooling system. On top of that, carbon buildup in the intake valves became a known issue in cars made between 2012 and 2018. In 2020, things got worse when it turned out that airbags in 2015 to 2016 models might not fully deploy in a crash or might not work at all. Even though Euro NCAP still gave the V40 a near-perfect 98% score for adult occupant protection, these real-world problems painted a very different picture. According to 2025 data, 43% of owners were spending more than 2,000 euros a year on repairs. Some were paying nearly 1,000 euros just for a new diesel particulate filter, and others had to shell out over 7,800 euros for full engine rebuilds. Between 2019 and 2023, as buyers moved towards more reliable options like the Audi A3 and Mercedes A-Class. 6. BMW i8. At number 6, we find the BMW i8. A flashy, hybrid sports car that looked like the future but ended up being a financial disaster. When it launched in 2014, it was hyped as BMW's crown jewel of innovation. It had a futuristic look, carbon fiber construction, and a hybrid system that was supposed to blend performance and eco-consciousness. But it didn't take long for the flaws to surface. By 2025, models from 2016 were being sold for less than 60,000 euros, down from their original price of 143,000 euros. That's a brutal 58% drop in value, making it one of the worst depreciating cars in its class. The powertrain was one of the biggest letdowns. It used a tiny 1.5-liter 3-cylinder engine, the same size you'd find in a basic Volkswagen Golf. The battery only gave you 22 miles of electric range, so it wasn't really efficient either. To make things worse, 31% of owners reported major drivetrain failures before reaching just 50,000 kilometers. Replacing the hybrid battery? That'll cost you 28,000 euros. And then there was the interior. What was supposed to feel luxurious ended up looking cheap over time. Reports from 2025 show that 27% of owners had problems with peeling carbon fiber trim and faulty finishes in the liquid gray paint. BMW tried to save the i8 with special editions like the 318,900 euros coupe, but it didn't work. In 2024, after sales crashed to just 156 units per year, a 92% drop from its 2017 peak, the company quietly pulled the plug. 7. Maserati Quattroporte. At number 7, we've got the Maserati Quattroporte, a car that once turned heads but now turns stomachs in the used market. It was supposed to represent Italian elegance and power, but in reality, it's become a nightmare for owners. As of 2025, the Quattroporte holds on to just 35.5% of its value after 5 years. That's the worst appreciation rate among all European luxury sedans. And the fall isn't just on paper. Sales have completely crashed from 26,600 units in 2023 to only 11,300 in 2024. That's a brutal 57% drop in just 1 year. Things only got worse when Stellantis, Maserati's parent company, pulled the plug on a $1.5 billion investment. They canceled the electric Quattroporte successor and the MC20 Folgore, moves that sent a clear signal they're cutting their losses. Under the hood, things don't get any better. Maserati landed dead last in J.D. Power's 2025 European Dependability Study. Nearly a quarter of owners reported electronic failures, and serious transmission issues can cost between 8,000 and 12,000 euros to fix. Even though the Quattroporte comes with a Ferrari-based 3L V6 engine, it still has a 42% higher failure rate than similar engines from BMW. If you take it in for basic servicing, be ready to hand over 650 euros, and that's if the parts arrive on time, because average wait times are now up to 19 days. In Germany, a key market, the Quattroporte is almost extinct, with just 287 new units registered in the first quarter of 2025. 8. Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Moving on to number 8, we find the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Once known as the gold standard of luxury sedans, it's now better known as Europe's recall king. Between 2021 and 2025, it racked up a whopping 14 recalls in the EU, more than any other competitor. The 2025 model alone had 3 separate recalls, including one major safety flaw, a brake hose defect that impacted every single one of the 20,239 units sold across Europe. And this isn't new for Mercedes. In 2021, they had to recall 1,400 models due to a faulty steering tie rod. 2 years later, 80,000 vehicles needed fuel pump replacements. But the S-Class isn't just struggling with recalls. Build quality has taken a nosedive. A Decra report from 2025 showed that 17% of owners experienced door seal problems within 6 months, causing loud wind noise at highway speeds. The once celebrated MBUX infotainment system is now being slammed for poor performance and pricey updates, over 250 euros just to update your navigation maps. Even though the base price starts at 118,900 euros, owner satisfaction has tanked. In AutoBuild's 2025 Luxury Sedan Satisfaction Index, the S-Class placed 28th out of 32. Today, corporate fleets and business buyers make up 68% of all S-Class sales.
And the rise of the electric EQS, which outsold the S-Class by 3-to-1 in Germany, shows the old combustion model is fast becoming irrelevant.
Number 9. Jaguar XJ. At number 9, things get even worse with the Jaguar XJ. Once a true British icon, the XJ has completely lost its way. Even though the last combustion model was discontinued in 2019, its problems are still very much alive. In 2025, 63% of current owners reported recurring electrical issues, everything from screen blackouts to batteries dying without warning. Jaguar had promised to go fully electric by 2025, but they suddenly dropped plans for the electric XJ replacement, leaving loyal buyers with no upgrade path and lots of frustration. Owning one isn't cheap either. A 2019 Jaguar XJ now costs around €1,128 per year in maintenance, which is 35% higher than what you'd pay for a Mercedes S-Class. Diagnostic checks alone can run €180 per hour at Jaguar dealerships across Europe, and the resale value is abysmal. A 3-year-old model only holds on to 28% of its original $104,000 price tag, which is even worse than the Maserati. Jaguar sedan sales have nearly vanished. In the final year of production, XJ sales dropped 71%. It's not just a fall, it's a complete collapse.
10. Audi A8. Finally, at number 10, we have the Audi A8. This car was supposed to be the future, but in 2025, it looks more like a cautionary tale about tech overload and financial heartbreak. The A8 5.5 TFSI Quattro loses nearly 69% of its value in just 3 years. That's worse than anything else in its class. Starting at €82,485, it drops to just €25,900 on the resale market. That's a loss of €56,585 per vehicle. What's killing the value is Audi's obsession with over-engineering. Nearly half of its owners, 42%, have reported issues with the MMI infotainment system within the first year. The futuristic Level 3 autonomous driving system? It only works in limited areas of Germany. And the repair costs are brutal. A single laser headlight costs over €6,200 to replace. And if your air suspension fails, expect a bill of around €3,890 per axle. On average, owners spend €1,258 a year just to keep the car running, almost 50% more than the BMW 740i. Even in Germany, Audi's home turf, the A8 is struggling. In early 2025, sales dropped 22%. Across Europe, the decline was 18%. The A8's gamble on high-tech features backfired hard. Instead of pushing Audi ahead, it's left them with a money pit that most buyers now avoid.
So guys, these were the 10 models that gathered dust in showrooms and got ignored in 2025. Some failed due to pricing, others due to design. But which car on this list do you think actually deserved better sales? I'm waiting for your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more automotive analysis. See you in the next one. Drive safe.